a short statement. Fellow Kenyans, when I addressed you on the 6th of June of this year, the nation at that time was confronted with a dilemma of two rights over this COVID-19 crisis. The two dominant positions were whether to reopen our country or not. To remind you, we had one side of the divide that presented an economic argument. They wanted us to reopen the country and save the economy. Their argument was that COVID-19 was, yes, a health crisis, but it was also an economic crisis at its core. And if we take care of the economics of Corona, they argued, the health crisis will be easier to manage, more so with the necessary protocols in place. The other side, that was also right, tabled a very compelling case against reopening the country on the 6th of June. And this was largely made up of medical scientists and researchers. And this group of experts argued at the time that the country was not ready. Their modeling pointed to a soaring crisis if we reopened without the necessary health protocols. And according to them, a series of irreducible minimums had to be met before we could consider easing the containment measures that were in place. Indeed, after much reflection, my administration opted for the health argument over the economic argument, more so because we can always revive an ailing economy, but we cannot bring to life those who may die from this pandemic. And with this, we chose the path which is we set out working with our partners to build on these irreducible minimums. Many of you are aware that at the time we agreed and we had held two meetings, one in person and another one 2 weeks later that was virtual, with the Council of Governors. You will also recall on the 6th that we instituted two teams, one composed of our interfaith brothers and sisters to consider issues around opening places of worship, and another consisting of education stakeholders to consider the issue of reopening our institutions of learning. The leadership of all these critical stakeholders have consulted on this path for the last month, and some of them are standing behind me today. And the question before us is the following: have we as a country met the irreducible minimum? Are we ready to reopen? According to experts and stakeholders, we have not yet met the irreducible minimum 100%. However, after further dialogue amongst them, we have reached a reasonable level of preparedness across the country. And I repeat again, we have not yet met 100%, but we have met a reasonable level of preparedness across our counties. With this expert opinion at hand, and the counsel offered by the National Security Council, I therefore today announce a phased reopening of the country as follows. 1, today I order and direct that the cessation of movement into and out of the Nairobi metropolitan area, Mombasa County, and Mandera County that is currently in force shall lapse today or at 4 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, the 7th of July, 2020. Number 2, I do order and direct that the nationwide curfew that is currently in force between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. daily be and is hereby extended for a further 30 days. Fellow Kenyans, by reopening Nairobi, Mombasa, and Mandera, we must be cognizant of the fact that we are all much more at risk than we were when the restrictions were in place. So we must therefore exercise what I call cautious optimism and avoid reckless abandon.